Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Avoid Payroll and Payment Pitfalls with Greenshades and HighRadius. My name's Amy Keenan. I am the founder of the ISV Society, and I will be your presenter and, your moderator and your host today. So I'm excited that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us and taking the time today as we talk about this awesome topic, which I'm sure everybody is very interested in learning more about. I'm just going to go over a few housekeeping items. First, you'll notice on the right that, and I don't know why it keeps flipping back and forth between everything. Sorry. Hopefully it'll stay that way. So first you'll notice on the right, there's some icons at the top of your right, and you'll be able to chat with us, which is where the Q&A will be. So you want to just make sure you click on that icon and see conversation, see the chat button, public chat button, and certainly put your questions in there and we will get to them. You can also know that we'll be recording this, so we'll be sending out the recording after this presentation. So feel free to share this with the rest of your team as well. And with that, I would also be launching some polls throughout today's session, so please feel free to interact and take those polls. We'd love to get your feedback on these topics that we're talking about. So let me just get started with our first poll, and you will see it now on the right. If you click on the poll icon, you might have to be on that little lightning bolt icon to see it. And then you can pick from the three choices that you see there. And I'll introduce Mark, who will be our first speaker for today. He is the Regional Account Executive at Greenshades and's been there for 7 years, managing partners and clients using Greenshades Point Solutions. He's from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Go Flames, Mark. Also a movie enthusiast, especially sci-fi movies from the comic books, which I am also as well. So with that, Mark, you are up.
Thank you. Thank you for the intro. Definitely love those comic book movies.
Yes,
wonderful.
Me too. And just so you know, for the poll, it's still going on, but everyone is saying allowing online access. So that's what everybody would like to see.
Okay.
So I will let you kick things off.
All right, great. So just to start off, a little bit about Greenshades. We are a cloud-based provider of payroll, HR, taxation, and compliance solutions. We've been serving clients since 2002, and we have over 4,000 clients across North America. We have a lot of, some in Canada, Puerto Rico, Guam even. So we support all over. It is our job to keep pace with regulatory changes, federal, state, and local changes. So we're constantly making sure all of our products are compliant with all of those different changes. All right, you can go to the next slide. All right, and for today, we're going over the different payroll process pitfalls. Number one, control. Each business is unique. Your payroll needs are unique too. Payroll must be managed in a way that reflects your distinct culture. No blind spots, no workarounds, no kidding. So with our platform, you'll have that full control over your payroll. You'll be able to manage that in-house and have that control over how it's completed, how soon it's completed, and you'll have all the data on hand. Continuation from number one, if you want to go to the next slide. All right, so continuation on number one, control. Reduce reliance on manual processes or handling a subset of employees outside of the system. That's pretty important. Corrective check runs, spot bonuses, etc., can be handled immediately, and doing so sends a strong and positive message to your workforce. So with our payroll platform, you will be able to make those adjustments on the fly. You need to run a spot bonus or a special pay run. You can run that on the fly. if you have to make any edits to your pay runs, you can make those edits on the fly without having to start the pay run over again. You'll be able to make those adjustments and then continue on with it, and it'll just recalculate automatically for you. All right. Next, payroll process pitfall number 2, finances. So in an outsourced model, your payroll funds cover the provider's float. So you would be giving some money over to your outsourced provider, and then they would use that money to pay payroll taxes or make the payments as needed. But with our solution, you'll be able to hold on to those payroll funds in your account for as long as you'd like. The pay run is going to be processed right out of your accounts. So we don't actually touch any of your money. You'll be able to have full control over that. You'll be able to maximize cash flow to benefit your business and not the payroll provider. All right. And a continuation of that, better financial control creates new opportunities to leverage those funds to enhance the employee experience. Fund availability and ad hoc reporting empowers you to run what-if scenarios, calculate and distribute spot bonuses, etc. So we do have some on-the-fly calculators that you can run. So if you wanted to say make some changes to some deductions, if you wanted to make an adjustment to a deduction or a different pay code, you can run that simple what-if calculation without having to run a whole pay run or anything. You could just run that on the fly and get that data as needed. So payroll process pitfall number 3, flexibility. So simple and straightforward integration with an HR or finance system means payroll will never be a barrier to progress. If business needs require a change in your HR or finance technology stack, you can make changes with minimal disruption. Process changes and enhancements can be made immediately. So with our payroll HR platform, it does integrate with pretty much any ERP. It's ERP agnostic, so we'll be able to push back to the general ledgers and any ERP that you're using. We'll be able to set up that integration, and with all of our products being hosted in one big platform, payroll and HR capabilities will also be synced across the board, so making everything a lot faster and a lot smoother when it comes to those processes. All right, continuation of that, flexibility. SelfService Tools simplify onboarding, streamline approvals, and allows HR pros to focus on more strategic issues. Advanced add-on services such as certification and vaccination tracking, payment card services, and others enhance employee satisfaction. So that certification tracking is something new that we just recently came out with, and we're pretty excited about. We'll be able to keep track of those different certifications. If you have any requirements for tracking employee certifications or their driver's license, or even vaccine mandates. I know the vaccine mandates is something that's in the news right now. So keeping track of that is something that our tool can definitely help with. Onboarding and applicant tracking is very important as well. So you'll be able to manage all of that within our solution, and it will have a full seamless integration with your payroll as well. All right, modernize payroll, simplify HR. So Greenshades software is all-in-one payroll solution that integrates with the ERP of your choice. Greenshades provides free technical support and can configure a solution around your business processes. And this list over here is a list of all of the features that are available within our payroll platform. We have different bundles or different packages that you can choose from, but this is essentially everything that is available out there. A lot of the products that we've sold over the years are integrating directly with our payroll solution, or pretty much all of them. The employee self-service, benefits management, payroll tax service, year-end forms, time entry, all of that is going to integrate directly with our payroll platform. All right, so just wrapping up a little, employee engagement and employee satisfaction are more important than ever, and payroll plays a major role. The optics of outsourcing delivers the wrong message to employees at a pivotal time. In-house payroll, when combined with a cloud-based platform, delivers the best of both worlds. These payroll best practices will carry you through these challenges of today and whatever the world throws at you tomorrow. So again, with our payroll solution, we would love to be able to handle your payroll and bring it all in-house and manage that with you. Again, also, if you're still running payroll in-house using another accounting package, we'll be able to integrate with that as well. So we're still going to be able to continue to manage that and integrate our employee service or our payroll tax service or tax filing center. All of our products that we've had over the years, we'll still integrate with those. We are adding our payroll solution to assist those clients that are looking for a different solution for in-house payroll. All right, and here we have a few upcoming year-end forums webinars that we're hosting. Here's some dates and the different items that we'll be going over. I think we have a few different presenters that will be managing these. So feel free to look out for those on our website, greenshades.com/webinars and events, and you'll be able to register for those online there. And then we also have some payroll pop-ups in Milwaukee, Livonia, and Nashville in the month of December. So our chief evangelist, Molly VanKampen, she's been with Greenshades for a very long time, probably since the beginning. She will be at these events, and she is very knowledgeable. She knows about all of our products, and she would be happy to answer any questions you might have. All right, and then for any more information, visit us online at greenshades.com, or you can email us at sales@greenshades, or of course call into our sales line at the 888-255-3815 extension 2 number. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Mark. All right, I'm going to launch another poll, and then we'll kick things off with HighRadius. Where's my poll? I don't know. Don't see it. So we might not be doing another poll. I apologize. Here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so to the right, you should be able to see the poll under the lightning bolt. So make sure you check off what pertains to you. And we are going to introduce Alex. So Alex is the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships, overseeing sales-centric alliances with global financial institutions, ERPs, ERP resellers, consulting firms, mid-market advisory firms, and ISVs, or independent software vendors. He has over 22 years of experience running marketing, product strategy, and partnerships across multiple industries, including executive positions across fintech and SaaS companies. Alex graduated from Lehigh University, where he has a BS in computer engineering. Prior to joining HighRadius, Alex was the SVP of product marketing and strategy at Sodexo, and that company was headquartered in Paris, France, right, Alex? That's exciting. Did you ever have to get to go there?
Yes, it was. Quite a few times, but everybody always thinks it's a fun trip, but it's a work trip, so it's a lot of work. So, Amy, thanks for the introduction. I think the poll is pretty much closing out. I think it looks like everybody answered manual processes and complexities in terms of their biggest challenges for the AR department, which is not uncommon. Typically, that's the one that tends to win. So right before I kick this off, let me just give a little bit of voiceover about HighRadius. So HighRadius has been in business since 2006. We are headquartered in Houston, Texas. We have 7 global offices across North America, Europe, and Asia. And we're the number one accounts receivable provider and order to cash provider in the enterprise space, and over the last half a decade have built a significant presence in the mid-market space as well, and are pretty much were recently named by IDC as the #1 provider in the mid-market as well. So a lot of background here around AR that comes into play. So Amy, if you don't mind going on to the next slide. Today, we're really just going to talk about the 4 common pitfalls around payments on the AR side, and really then doubling down towards the end on what we are seeing our customer base do about that and what the impacts of those are. So I'll walk you through these individually. Some of these you'll be very familiar with. But the punchline here is we get to a point where we can share a little bit of insight in terms of what we're seeing, the value that we're seeing our customers get out of implementing and incorporating new solutions to solve some of these challenges, some of these pitfalls. Okay, so today we're going to talk about high overheads, slow time to cash, inflexible payment options, and fraud risk. So let's go to the first one. Okay, so talking a little bit about the hidden costs, or the high overhead and the hidden cost of paper checks, right? So there's a lack of digital payment methods, and really what's happening is that check and wire have traditionally been the primary payment options out there, and those incur a tremendous amount of overhead, not operational, not people, but just really the cost of actually doing business. And a lot of that comes back to just manual processes, which aligns with the little poll we did at the beginning of this segment. The estimated cost of processing 500 checks is roughly $36,000 a year, which doesn't sound like the end of the world until you realize most companies are processing thousands and thousands and thousands of checks, and each one is costing them anywhere from $4 to $20. And for those of you who don't know how some of the companies today, some of the banks actually process expedited checks, they actually print out a written check, a computer written check, and then they drop it in a UPS or FedEx envelope to expedite that payment. So all that has a cost, and that's what adds up to the $4 to $20 per check that you're seeing on this slide. That is a data from a recent Bank of America survey. So let's move on to the next pitfall: slow time to cash. Okay, so this gives you an idea that the traditional payment methods are actually quite slow, and we've seen an uptick in DSO and day sales outstanding, and a significant negative effect on cash flow because of that. So what's happening is, as I'm sure many of your companies are doing, the adoption of digital payments has accelerated. Now, this survey from the Federal Reserve Payment Study was released in 2020, has some 2020 data. But what I can tell you is ever since the beginning of the pandemic, this has only increased the adoption of digital payment vehicles, right? So you can see the slow decline of checks. Everybody loves to talk about checks are dead. Checks are not dead. They probably won't die for another few decades, but they're a significantly smaller portion of what they used to be 20 years ago. Less than half of payments are now done with checks. Most of the rise in payments has come from credit cards and non-prepaid debit cards, right? So you're starting to see that digital currency and those digital vehicles start to take over. Moving on to inflexible payment options. So, oh, that's right, I forgot. We're going to take a little breather halfway through the 4 areas. So just want to give you, just ask a little question. There's no poll here. Just think about it, keep it in your head, if you will. But what is the average days delinquent in your organization? When you think about collections, when you think about your customers paying you, what does that look like? So what I'm going to give you is I'm going to give you the best in class number that was published in a study by the Hackett Group, and that's 4 days, right? So if you're anywhere in the ballpark of 4 days, you're doing a great job. If you're 2, 3, 4 times that number, there's a lot of opportunities for you to improve that, and a lot of companies like HighRadius and others that would be more than happy to help you get there, right? Okay, so now as we move on to the next slide. So the lack of options, lack of payment options. So we've talked about how there's a lot of these payment options around cash and wire that existed out there and that historically have been there. We've talked about the adoption of digital payment options as a big shift in the space over the last 20 years. And now let's bring it down to the impact of that to the customer. And at the end of the day, it's really about giving customers more options when it comes to how they want to pay. And what we know, and this is the statistic from Harris Interactive, is when customers have a bad experience, now it could be, in this case, we're talking about on the payment side, on the AR side, and their payables. But when we think about that experience, we see that a large percentage, in the case of Harris, 89%, really take that customer experience to heart when they're making decisions about their vendors and their providers. And this number actually talks about those that consider doing business with a competitor as a result of a bad customer experience. So what does a good customer experience look like when it comes to giving customers choice for payment? So one is provide them portals, right? So the days of, allow for self-service, the days of having to sit on a phone or go through an IVR and, press numbers and wait for tones and things like that are gone. So give them something easy, something quick they can go into. Give them cost-effective digital payment options, right? So again, the days of upcharging for taking credit payments, because we all know credit can be a little bit more expensive to us, but it does have a benefit of mitigating risk, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But give them more of those options. That'll make them happier. And at the end of the day, it just comes down to those flexible options and providing choice to your customers. So let's move into the fourth pitfall, and that's fraud risk. So based on a study by the American Bankers Association, we're seeing that check fraud increased to 15 billion. Now, this was a study published in 2020 with data from 2018. So it really is data up to 2018, which is 3 years ago, but that only means it's gotten worse since then. But up to that point, $15 billion a year were due to check fraud, due to fraud overall, the check fraud. And then that actually accounts for 60% of all attempted fraud against deposit accounts. Right. So what we're seeing again is the fact that continuously using these older payment vehicles and narrowing choice of these customers into those payment vehicles actually has the negative effect of creating a higher fraud risk for you as a company. And so one part of it is just lack of visibility and control. Right. So traditional payment methods don't have the same level of rigorous control. And I'll give an example, right? So whenever using a digital payment currency based on credit or debit, you have acquiring companies that are looking at those transactions and addressing fraud. You have the actual networks like Visa and MasterCard that are doing the same. You have companies that sit behind that are obviously continuously doing fraud. You even have regulators that get involved in that process. So there's definitely a significant level of oversight that can be implemented due to digital payment methods that really doesn't exist when you have to put a check in an envelope and send it out, right? And then the next part of it is non-compliance and security standards. Security standards are changing rapidly. I believe that new security standards are coming out 3 or 4 times faster than they were even 5 years ago. It's a constant sort of game of cat and mouse and adjusting the standards to address any kind of security vulnerabilities that are out there. And it costs a lot of money for companies to have to stay on top of that. And if you're trying to put all this together on your own and run a ton of these manual processes, you're probably going to miss a step or two in that compliance side, which is something obviously companies in the space can't afford to do and provide a significant amount of effort towards that. So those 2 areas are typically why we're seeing that fraud increase and why we're seeing so much of it coming from the check side of the house. Okay, so on the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about what the outcomes are. So this data comes from a series of additional sources, but also includes HighRadius's customer data, right? And what we're seeing our customers gain in terms of implementing solutions that solve these 4 pitfalls. So first is faster payments, right? So enabling faster electronic payments, creating these or turning on self-service portals have a tremendous improvement on time to cash. In this case, 62% is what we're seeing across the board. That is usually the primary reason for a return on investment of companies investing in solutions to actually take this on and move some of these manual processes out. Second is leverage digital payments, right? So that reduces the overhead. There's a tremendous amount of cost that we've already talked about associated to checks and other traditional payments that goes away or gets significantly reduced when you talk about digital payments. And we're seeing 72% in savings in operating costs from that. So those are the core numbers. These are what I'll call the dollar value drivers. This is the bottom line reason why you would want to go and find someone to take this on for you. Now, let me talk a little bit more about the additional impacts that you can see from implementing this. So on the next slide, you will see 2 new numbers, right? So customer loyalty is key. We talked about that. And that buyer-centric approach is essential. And really it comes down to choice. So when you do offer choice, when you basically create a menu of payment vehicles for your customers to come in and say, okay, I have a choice and I can choose what's more convenient for me, and underlining that word convenient, right? You're starting to see, and we've gone through this as well with our customers and had some of our customer service survey their customers. We're seeing a 74% increase in overall customer satisfaction around this experience. So tremendous customer improvement, loyalty improvement there as well. And then we get into the risk mitigation, right? So the challenge here is, we're all talking about saving money and applying money in different ways, but one big security or risk item could basically wipe away any kind of savings or any kind of benefit from some of the processes you're running today. So this is why companies like HighRadius and many others in the space have completely dedicated organizations that drive compliance to ensure we're up to speed on all compliance, whether it's PCI, DSS, any kind of compliance measures that need to go in place to ensure that we can mitigate that risk as much as possible and reduce any impact of that risk to your organization or your bottom line, right? So those are 2 of the other benefits that you see coming out of this. So I'll take another 30 seconds to kind of recap a little bit. So today we talked about 4 pitfalls. Hopefully I did a good job and you kind of saw a little bit of a story being played out, which is, there's a movement from traditional payment methods to digital payment methods. There's a movement from limiting the number of payment vehicles that your customer has to opening it up to choice. And the outcome of all that is an improvement in overall financial profit for your company, an improvement in overall overhead reduction, an improvement in overall risk, and mitigating that risk, and ultimately what we all want, which is higher customer loyalty through better customer experience. So those are the values that companies and the plug like HighRadius bring to the table. But at the end, we're always pretty open. We feel very much that we like competition. We feel that competition actually drives value. So we always ask our people we talk to explore the space, and then when they're ready to make a choice and to come talk to us. So I invite you to do that. I know Amy just put up a slide, talks a little bit more about where we are and what we do. I think one thing I did forget to mention, which I'm always asked to do, is the fact that to give you a scope for how much, even if you've never heard of us, how long we've been in the space. So every year we process, or at least this year, we're processing $2.4 trillion in receivables. So we definitely have a significant footprint in the AR space, and we'd be happy to apply our knowledge and what we know how to do to you and your company.
Thanks, Alex. So if there are any questions, again, feel free to put them in the chat and we will get to them right now. And I don't see any out there. Oh, we have a question. Do I need Greenshades Payroll to use the certification management module?
No, we are going to be including that in our point solutions as well in the coming future. It was initially we were talking about just making it payroll, but we've ultimately decided to have it included in our point solutions as well. So no, you do not need the Greenshades Payroll to utilize the certification management.
Great. I do like how both of you have, your own service portals for, Mark has them for employees, Alex, you have them for the customers. So it's really, I feel like customers want that self-service, want to be able to do everything at their fingertips when they want to do it. So that's great that you both have that.
Yeah, it's definitely something our clients and employees like a lot.
Yeah, I bet. Mm-hmm. All right, I have one more poll just for the sake of me wanting to know what you think of this platform. This is a new platform that I started using and wanted to get, your feedback to see if you like it or not, if it's something that we should continue to utilize and use moving forward when we do webinars. So yeah, I'd love your feedback on that. Thank you so much. If you don't have any questions, of course, here is HighRadius and Greenshades contact information. So you can certainly reach out to them if you have any questions, want to see a demo, need any additional information. Like I had mentioned in the beginning, the recording will be sent out as well probably tomorrow. So you'll get an email with a link to view the recording so that you can watch it or share with the rest of your team. Okay, let me just check to see if we have any more questions before we wrap
Amy,
it up.
I don't think there are any more questions, but let me just, I do a lot of these. Let me answer the one question we typically get for those viewers that are going to get this after the fact. So a lot of times we get asked the question, do I need to have a lot of payment volume or a lot of invoices to be able to get the benefit out of the HighRadius solution? And the answer is no. So one thing that I didn't get to talk about is we actually have solutions across the board, whether you're a smaller company with only a few hundred invoices and payments a month, all the way to companies that are managing millions of payments a month. We have a solution that kind of fits all sizes and all budgets. So just want to go ahead and answer that ahead of time. I know we get it a lot.
Thank you. Yes, I'm sure. All right, so I guess we will wrap things up. Again, thank you so much for joining us today, and stay tuned for the recording. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.